Hey folks, Jay here on Friday the 4th of November with some Leeds news and match preview going into the Bournemouth game. Jesse's press conference was yesterday. We'll get to that in the second half of the video, but we'll start off with the breaking news and what's come out this morning. Leeds have officially lost their appeal on the John Kevin Augustin appeal to CAS, the Court for Arbitration of Sport. The ruling has come out this morning. The ruling states that Leeds are to begin making payments of the original fee, beginning with an instalment of €6.7 million. Leeds have said they plan to appeal immediately. So what's come out in the statement is that Leeds will review carefully all of its legal options with a view to an immediate appeal. It is possible to appeal a Court of Arbitration for Sport verdict, and it's a strange one. You have to appeal it to the Swiss Federal Tribunal, and there are very limited areas and grounds where you can actually make this appeal. Leeds have said that they're planning to appeal it immediately. They're going to look at the legal standing on this before they make their appeal. I think it's an unusual decision for Leeds to make. I think we've been caught with our pants down on this one. The board made a decision to try and get out of a deal with Augustin. They pulled the fast one because of the COVID dates. And just to clarify, the date basically said that on the June 1st or July 1st deadline, Leeds would have to pay if Leeds had been promoted by the July 1st deadline. Because the season was extended because of COVID, that didn't happen. So Leeds are saying it's null and void. It is semantics. It's literally splitting hairs. And now Leeds have gone through two different courts where the ruling has gone against them, and they're now planning a third appeal. At this point, you tried it. You thought you'd get away with it. We didn't. Leave it. Move on. Red Bull are expecting Leeds to pay their first instalment, which I believe is about €6 million, €6.7 million immediately. But Leeds aren't planning on doing that. They're planning on appealing it straight away. The original deal was 3 instalments of 6.7 million, so we'll see what happens with that. Also, there are conflicting reports on this. One report says that Leeds had put the money aside. I think it was either Kinnear or Orta had said to Phil Hayne in one of the beginning of the season interviews that money had been put aside and was there if and when they lost the appeal. Other reports are saying that Leeds didn't put the money aside. We'll know in January, won't we? This could impact any moves we're going to make. But yeah, interesting to see the 49ers think of this as well and their take on it. But not a good one. Not a good one just to wake up this morning. But it's done. For now, we'll see what happens with the Swiss Federal Tribunal. Easy for me to say. Moving on to some more positive news. Mark Rock has been talking this week about his move to Leeds, and he's been talking very positively about it. He said it one of the best decisions he has made in his career. He has been fantastic for Leeds, and he gets better and better each week. His minutes on the pitch are getting longer. He's contributing more. He has one of the most forward passes of any midfield player in the Premier League this season, and that partnership with Tyler Adams really is growing into a strong partnership. We look really solid in the middle of the park, and he's been fantastic. He's a better player when Tyler is in there, I think, but we're a better team when Tyler is in there. He was asked about it. He said that it's important when making this decision. He said he saw how Victor understood football and his style and his ideas fit for Mark. He also went on to say that he believes this is a sleeping giant of a club, which has been said for a very long time, and that's a time to wake the club up. So, big words from a man who has been putting it in, really has been showing up this season. So, he's been excellent for us. Good interview with him. Nice to hear his opinion on it. Just everything about him over the last couple of weeks has just really showed someone who's fired up and willing to dig in and fix the issue that Leeds are into minutes. So great to see that. Sinisterra's injury. Let's have a quick chat about this. We've got some pictures and we've got some definitions as well. So it is what's called a Liszt Frank, not to be mistaken with a Les Paul guitar. The Liszt Frank injury controls, it's the tendons that control the metatarsals on the foot. So if that's your foot, it's across here. It's like that band across there that controls the movement of your toes, essentially. Leeds have said that it's not a full rupture, that they believe it to be a partial tear, which would change the recovery time on this. A Liszt Frank injury results, the exact words here, and you can see it on screen right in front of you. I'll read off this. Liszt Frank midfoot injuries result in the bone in the midfoot are caused by either broken bones or ligaments to support the midfoot have been torn. The severity of the Liszt Frank injury can vary widely from simply involving one midfoot joint to a complex injury involving many midfoot joints and broken bones. Jesse Marsh said they're hoping to be back after. Now, what's interesting about this is everyone's jumping on the he's out till after the World Cup. Jesse Marsch said we won't have him back till after the World Cup. There's a difference in terminology there, and I'm hoping that difference actually means something. Not having him, but having him back after the World Cup means we're going to miss him for the next 2 weeks. That's essentially what that means. He's not going to the World Cup with Colombia because he didn't qualify, so he has that time. We get a lot of chance to see what's going on. We're on their second pre-season plans, and they're not going to the States. But yeah, the Lisfranc injury can vary. So if it's a minor one, it can be anything from 6 to 12 weeks, which would be the 6 weeks would be within the period of the World Cup. We'd have him back for after the World Cup. 12 weeks slightly longer. If it is a rupture, it could take up to a year before the player is capable of running on his foot again. But that's doom and gloom talk. Right now, Leeds are saying it's not ruptured, it's only a tear, which would shorten the time frame around the Lisfranc injury as it is. It's a nasty injury. It's going to be a painful one for him. A lot of players will just wear a boot for 6 weeks to try and let it heal itself and to keep an eye on it. And I'd say that if he doesn't have to go for surgery, then they'll avoid that if they can. You're hoping you're not in a plantar fascia issue with Pat Bamford last year where you're waiting to actually rupture it before you can heal it properly. It's a slightly different injury, this Frank, and it was an impact injury. He got that injury a couple of weeks ago. You could see he'd been stood on and he kind of reacted a bit to it. Then he put his foot down again a couple of seconds later and he felt it again. So there's a bit in it, but fingers crossed he'll be okay. But let's take the positive side to it. Let's hope it's just a tear. 6 weeks. Should be back playing on the pitch after the World Cup. If it's worse, we'll find out and we'll talk about it. But let's go with the positive side in this. And that's it for the news, essentially, for right now. Moving into the match preview for the Bournemouth game. Right, so here we go. Injury-wise, Jesse covered it off. Stuart Dallas, Adam Forshaw still out injured. Adam Forshaw is having the longest hernia recovery in the history of hernia recoveries as a man who's had a hernia. Needs to get that one sorted quick. Standard football injury hernias, aren't they? They're old school. Every day, go back 10 years ago, everyone was getting a hernia. Yeah, need to get him back on the pitch. I like Adam Forshaw. He's a big player for us when he is fit. I thought he made a massive impact last year when he came back after his injury. Just hasn't had a chance to get going this year. And obviously the contract talk yesterday with that running down and possibly him leaving in January. I'd like him to get on the park a bit more before then. But yeah, Archie Gray back on the pitch as well, which is good news for Leeds. You could do with that extra creative body in there as well. I'm making good progress, they've said. So, asked about how he feels after the win against Liverpool, and he said he pretty much feels the same. And we had this conversation as well about, does he need 3 points against Bournemouth as well as 3 points against Liverpool, because everyone wanted 3 points at those two games. And he said he's pretty much in the same place, that he's frustrated that they can play so well in games like that in Chelsea and Arsenal, but then let other moments slip against teams that they shouldn't be letting them slip against. We've seen that stats where Leeds have less than 40% possession in the game. They have a 100% record of winning the game. Where Leeds have more than 40%, they have a 100% record of losing the game. So it's a tricky one for him. He's really frustrated with this, and I like that. I want this to stay there. I don't want us to go through Liverpool and think we got a result against Liverpool where everything's fine again. Now he needs to still stay on top of these players. What I did like about the game against Liverpool was the players went out of their way to go to Jesse after the game. They meant to him, which shows me that they're behind him. Luke Ayling spoke this week about it as well and said the players are behind him. A lot of players will always say that anyway because of existing manager, but you could see there was a movement of players to him to hug him after the Liverpool game. I think everyone knew, just took a little bit of pressure off. He also said himself that they need to get a win against Bournemouth to get out of this situation that they're in currently. It will go a long, long way to settling everyone's nerves a bit. Preparing for Bournemouth this weekend, he said that they've looked at different situations with Bournemouth. Bournemouth sometimes play with a back four, but will start out with a five, playing out from the back. So when the keeper has the ball, the midfielder drops in, it's a three at the back and they go wide. But they have started with a four. They have played with a five defensively for an entire match, as well as just starting out with a five and then moving to a four in the back. And he said Leeds have looked at different variations of that and ways to capitalise on that. He said that they're very dangerous on the counter attack, and Leeds need to be mindful of that, and they've been lethal when they've gotten their chances. Something we haven't been. The amount of chances Leeds have gotten missed compared to what Bournemouth, the less chances Bournemouth have had and scored. So we need to be on it when it comes to that as well. Bournemouth are in a situation where they could do it getting a win as well, so maybe they won't sit in and defend, which might help Leeds a little bit. Crescencio Somerville came up in the press conference as well, and there's some interesting bits about this. He said that he's had to work hard with the player on his discipline and professionalism and his work ethic, which is an interesting comment to make. That would suggest that the player maybe was a bit lax, maybe wasn't doing all the work that he needed to do. One criticism I think a lot of people have had of Somerville when he has played the back end of last year and this year was not being involved in the game enough. Like when he has the ball, he's great, but it's the other aspects of the game. Jesse said that he wants, has to stay on his back to make sure he has a good week of training, which is an excellent week this week of training. He knows he's a big player for Leeds when he's in possession of the ball. It's the other aspects of the game. He said that he has to make sure he's prepped correctly and arriving on time for training, which suggests that he hasn't, possibly. And he said that he's paying attention to video sessions and knows what jobs he needs to do. Jesse wants to get him more involved in the moment where he's not on the ball. That second pressing player, if it's the case of the fullback is pressing a winger, that he can come in the far side and, a dual press. Wants more of that from him, but he said he's been excellent. He also talked about a friendship between him and Willie Gnonto that started up, where he said Willie is kind of the opposite. Willie is very mature for his age, very professional, and very honed in on the finer details of what his role is needed to be. Has a fantastic work ethic, and he said that he is years above himself for an 18-year-old, but he said that the two of them have struck up a friendship, and that Crescencio Somerville is benefiting from Willie's attitude and them working together, which is brilliant to see that. And he also said that getting those players together at that age will become the core of what's going to come through with those younger players pushing into the Leeds team. And he thinks it could be a catalyst to help push more of the younger players into the first 11 as well. So that's always great to see. You need to have that tight core. The championship team that Leeds got promoted with, they had that tight core. We're in that transition period now where it's not necessarily there all the time, but it would be great to see if they can keep that going forward with the younger players coming through and create another one. That would be awesome to see as well. And then just talking about Bournemouth in general, like the run of form isn't great, but then ours wasn't great till the Liverpool game. Be all and end all of this, it just comes down to we need to get 3 points against Bournemouth. Whatever way we do it, my predictions have been awful for the all season. I've got every single one of them wrong. So I personally think a 1-1 draw. Hoping I get it wrong, we would get a win. But my issue with Leeds is that we concede goals. That's my issue. And I think if we stopped conceding so many goals, I'd feel an awful lot more confident about us winning more and more games. But we do ship goals. And Bournemouth can score if they get chances. And as long as we don't give up anything silly, and we focus on doing what we do well, the intensity needs to be the same as Liverpool. We can't just do the pressing for 15 minutes. We need to do the pressing for the entirety of the game as well, same as we did against Liverpool, and that puts us in a really good spot. Then you got the cup game, then you got Spurs, and you can kind of relax a little bit going into the World Cup. But a win against Bournemouth opens up a little bit of a gap, pushes us up the table a bit more, and we still have that game in hand against Nottingham Forest, which will put us comfortably in the top 10 of the table. And it's a completely different looking situation. All the hyperbole and drama can go away for a bit, and all the hand waving and this is a disgrace and that's shocking, all that crap can go away. And we can just focus on enjoying watching Leeds playing. So we'll wait and see what happens. It's an interesting one. I don't expect many changes from the starting 11. I'll be shocked if it doesn't go to the exact same starting 11. But Sinisterra being out, Somerville will obviously replace him. Willie Gnonto has now shown that he can do some stuff from the bench. He only played 60 minutes for the under-21 team during the week. So just some minutes in his legs as well. So we'll wait and see what happens there. Let me know in the comments. Score predictions. I saw a couple of them yesterday. What do you think? Are we feeling positive? Good or bad today? Let me know. Good or bad? There won't be video tomorrow. There won't be video Sunday. There will be a match reaction on Monday. If more news comes out about the JKA situation, or if any major news comes out between Leeds between now and tomorrow, I'll stick a video out in the morning. Currently, no plan for video for Saturday and Sunday. Gotta take a break for the weekend. Gotta try and enjoy my weekend a little bit. But if there is news, I will do a video. If there's not, which Saturdays doesn't tend to be, I'll leave it. Again, as always, thanks for watching. Really appreciate it. Have a fantastic weekend, and fingers crossed for 3 points for Leeds. See you. Bye.